What is going on, everybody? I am the FDGURU, bringing to you guys an NFL Conference Championship value video using FanDuel salaries. Obviously, we got just 2 games on Sunday. For the main slate this week, I'm giving you guys a 20 Guru credit code after the first couple of my plays. Going to talk about each position, which guys stand out the most. Hopefully these picks can help you bring in some cash on Sunday. Just like this video, subscribe, put the alerts on so you don't miss any future videos. For quarterback, I'm assuming Sam Darnold's going to be good to go. Currently on the injury report with an oblique. Jarrett Stidham obviously starting for the Broncos after the shocking broken ankle for Bo Nix at the end of that game last week. That was just disheartening. Even coming from a Patriots fan, you always want to play the best guys, especially in the playoffs. Broncos fans didn't deserve that. It's tough. Stidham's going to be put into a very tough spot after not playing all year long. I do think Drake May's the best value at quarterback this week. He's projected for 19 fantasy points. Stafford and Darnold are both at 16, so pretty significantly lower. And Stidham's only at 12, so he's going to be extremely tough to play at 6,900. I like Drake May. Obviously, Stafford has that upside to throw, 3, 4, 5 touchdowns, but he's got the toughest matchup of the week against the Seahawks defense, who ranks, second, maybe first. I think the Texans and the Seahawks had the best defenses this year, but Drake May at 8,100 looks like the guy in Denver. Obviously, by no means is he in an easy spot either. Really tough place to play. Second-year guy, huge game, but I do like him. Like I said, projected for 19 fantasy points. My next guy I would go to is probably Sam Darnold, considering that him and Stafford are projected the same, and he's $900 cheaper. We got 2 top wide receivers, Nakua and JSN this week. I think Nakua is going to draw more interest, so if you want to go towards JSN, probably a good idea to pair him with Sam Darnold. You'll probably get lower ownership on both guys, so I don't mind that at all. Stafford's obviously playable because of his upside, but Drake May is my guy just for what he projects out on Sunday. Running back, easy play, 8K, Kenneth Walker, gotta play him against the Rams. Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL last game, another brutal injury. You hate to see it, but Kenneth Walker now, who, battled all year in a 50-50 role with Charbonnet, lost a lot of touchdowns in the red zone to Charbonnet. He's going to have the entire backfield. Seahawks are favored by a couple of points. They should be trying to control a lot of this game through the ground, and Kenneth Walker is coming off of an unbelievable divisional game against the 49ers. 19 carries, 116 yards, 3 touchdowns, 37 fantasy points. We all know he has a lead upside when he gets the touches, and he should get upwards of 20 to 25 touches on Sunday. I don't see them going to whoever their backup is with Charbonnet out. Maybe George Halani activated off IR. I don't even know who their next guy is. Point is, Kenneth Walker is the guy this week. He is the best running back to pick. He's going to be high owned, obviously, on a 2-game slate, but I just don't see a scenario where the winning tournament lineup does not have Kenneth Walker in it in this spot against the Rams with the backfield to himself. Kyron Williams, tougher spot. He could get some touchdowns, but Blake Corum gets a lot of touches as well behind him. He's 8,600. That's going to be tough to spend up on, especially if we're, picking Nakua or JSN. RJ Harvey, not a bad play at 6,700. I do think Ramondre Stevenson is probably the second best guy to spend at running back. He is, kind of taken over that RB1 role over the last few weeks after it's been kind of a toss-up between him and Trevion Henderson. He's been playing awesome football, getting involved in the pass attack, 16 carries against the Texans last week, played the toughest defense in the NFL, still ran the ball for 70 yards on 16 carries. So Stevenson has looked great after his fumbling woes to start the season. I don't mind him at all. But Kenneth Walker is the guy at 8K. Wide receiver, I've talked about Nakua and JSN. You can definitely go there. I'm probably going to be favoring Nakua more. I just think he has more of an upside. And for value, we want to get cheaper here, obviously. There's not a lot of cheap spots this week with only 4 teams playing. I do think, obviously, tight end is the cheap spot. There's no expensive tight ends. Wide receiver, we need to find some sort of value, and I think it's going to come out of Denver. We don't know full news yet. We got to wait. I'm doing this video on Friday. We'll get more clarification over the weekend. We have Troy Franklin, questionable with a hamstring, who's limited in practice on Thursday. And then Pat Bryant, who had a concussion last week. He screwed me over. That was tough on the first drive. Had an unbelievable first drive against the Bills and then was out for the game. But he practiced fully on Thursday. He was limited on Wednesday. Now he's just got a clear concussion protocol, which isn't a given, but it seems like he's more likely than not to play. 5K probably ends up being the best value play at wide receiver, especially if Franklin is out. Even if Franklin is in, I like Pat Bryant. He's probably the number 2 guy on this Broncos team behind Courtland Sutton. He's just completely mispriced if he's out there. If both guys were to miss, we would have to start looking at guys like Lil Jordan Humphrey, who had a huge touchdown last week, and Marvin Mims, who became a major focal point in that offense once Franklin and Pat Bryant went down last week. 8 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown. More of a special teams guy. He just stepped up in a bigger role with the injuries. If guys are back on Sunday, as you can see throughout the year, he's not really used on offense. He's more of a special teams guy. He returns the punts. He would be almost impossible to play if either one, Franklin or Bryant, come back. I think they'd have to both be out for Marvin Mims to be in play. But there's definitely value here. Again, we got to wait to see what the injury news ends up being. You could look at Shaheed at 5,500. He's got that upside that we saw last week. Return the opening kickoff for a touchdown. You get those 6 points for a touchdown in fantasy, but he didn't end up catching anything. So he's pretty limited on offense. He's kind of in the same role as Marvin Mims. Cooper Kupp at 5,800, probably going to be popular. He had a decent game last week, 5 catches, 60 yards, big game spot. Look for Sam Darnold to be targeting Cooper Kupp to some capacity. He's a veteran. He's been here before. Obviously, JSN is the main focal point, but Cooper Kupp, he's got the upside. He's only 5,800. We'd be looking that way as well. Wide receiver outside of Nakua and JSN, we definitely want to spend cheaper on. I don't think it's worth it for Devontae Adams at 8K. Courtland Sutton at 7,300 is tough to spend up on. Even Stephon Diggs at 6,700, I would start to think about it. But I think Sutton and Devontae Adams are pretty unplayable given the slate. And we got to, have 2 cheaper spots at wide receiver if we're spending up on Nakua or JSN. For my Guru credit code, go to my website, fd-guru.com. You can make an account for free, no card required. You'll get $50 in credit to sign up. Go to the shop page. I post FanDuel and DraftKings lineups here. You buy credits, then you spend the credits to see my lineups, memberships. And on the shop page, there's a coupon bar for 20 free credits for you guys. It's all caps, Conf, Champ, 26, obviously for the conference championship, the year 26. All caps, Conf, Champ, 26. Hit apply coupon. You'll get 20 Guru credits added to your balance. Again, all I ask, just like the video, subscribe. It goes a long way for me in the algorithm. Tight end, it's Hunter Henry for me, especially if I'm picking Drake May. He looks like the best option, projected the most fantasy points by a decent amount at 9.5. The second guy is AJ Barner at 7.5. It could be another 2 tight end lineup week. Just to save some money, he's only 5,200. Wasn't a part of the game last week, but the Seahawks were up all game. They didn't really need to throw the ball at all. Going to be a different story in a competitive Rams spot this week. I like Barner. 7.5 fantasy points at 5,200 looks good. You could take a shot on a Colby Parkinson or Tyler Higbee. I do like Higbee a little bit more because they're kind of a split tight end duo right now, and he's only $4,900, $1,100 cheaper than Parkinson. I think if they get in the red zone, either guy could get a touchdown. So if we're talking about a 50-50 spot, I'll save the $1,100 and go to Higbee. but I do think it's Hunter Henry and AJ Barner, with Henry being the best guy, projected for almost 10 fantasy points. And then defense, I want to spend up on the Patriots. I'm not overthinking this. You got Jarrett Stidham, playing quarterback, hasn't played all year. He's going to be nervous. Patriots are coming off of a elite performance, making CJ Stroud look, Stroud has looked bad all year, but they made him look even worse than usual, which is pretty impressive. They have double-digit fantasy points in the last 3 games, 35 combined fantasy points in the 2 playoff games this year. This Patriots defense has been great. I am very okay spending up $5K here. My second play would probably be the Rams, just because they're cheapest and Sam Darnold can turn the ball over. But for me, the Patriots stand out the most at defense. That'll do it for these picks, guys. Let's have a big Sunday. Let's cash. Let's hit something big. Till next time, I am the FD Guru. Peace.